welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us in today's meeting. My name is Natalie and I'm with the Region 9 Head Start Association. I will be the host for today along with my coworker Fernando. So please feel free to contact us via the chat option with any logistical questions that you may have about audio, video, or any connection issues. Today's meeting will be recorded and we will be making it available within 24 hours. You may find the recording on our website or as well as our YouTube channel. Resources tied with this session, such as the certificate of participation and the PowerPoint slides, can be found on our website as well. And an email reminder will go out after the session has ended. I do want to remind everyone that due to the limited time that we have, we ask that all questions be held until the end of the session, and if time permits, we will be answering a few. So now with no more further ado, I am going to go ahead and hand it over to Deidre. Deidre, go ahead and take it away.
Thanks, Natalie. Thanks, Fernando and Ed, for inviting me and having me on. Hi, everyone. It's so good to see you and be here today. I am going to share my screen, and I'm going to pull up my PowerPoint really quickly and get us going because we don't have a lot of time and we have so much to talk about. There we go. All right, let's see. All right, already doing stuff. Okay, so welcome to today's training. It's actually going to be on managing mindsets. And I should take that word back, training, because it's not going to be me presenting information to you. Today is going to actually be really interactive. But before I begin, I just want to do a real quick intro on myself. Some of you know me from summer camp. Some of you know me from the wellness modules I did through Pyramid. But I know there's quite a few people out there who may not know me. So Deidre Harris, I've been in the field for a really long time. You can see all of my roles down there on the bottom left. And I put that in there, not so much to, brag about all the things that I've done, but actually just to honor the work and all of the roles and where I've been, knowing that many of you have shared a lot of the same journey with me in terms of your current position as directors. And up at the top left is actually a photo that I took from a 6-seater prop plane while I was going to the island of Molokai in the state of Hawaii. And the reason I put that up there is because I recently have moved to California. I lived in Hawaii for 20 years. And when I was in the director, I had 4 sites. And one of the sites actually was on the island of Molokai, which is, if you've ever been there, is very rural. In fact, there's only one stop sign in the main town. That's how rural it is. So that was one of my sites. And I had another site that was so urban. It was on the backside of a strip mall. And so through those experiences and my experiences working with this particular private school, they had over 84 classrooms. And I had the blessing of being able to serve in lots of those roles and to work with many of those children and families across the islands in every single type of setting you could possibly imagine. And so all of that work has given me a lot of background knowledge, which allows me to share with you folks and other folks as well. So having said all of that, here's my question for you, because I did promise you that it was actually going to be interactive. And so here's the first part of it. And I'm going to ask you to write into the chat box your name and one word that describes how you're feeling right now. And we'll take about a minute to do that. So go ahead and type into the chat box one word that you're feeling right now. Great, I see those chats are starting to come in. I appreciate that. Okay. Those words are coming in. Keep them coming. And then Natalie or Fernando, actually, I can't see what's coming in on the chat. So it might be because I'm sharing right now. And so I'm wondering if one of the two of you, if you could see those words, are willing to kind of call them out for us.
Yeah, I can. Michelle says uncertain. Lorraine, optimistic. Iris says anxious. Ingrid, stretched. Betsy, excited. Maria, happy. Brenda, accomplished. Angel, divided. A lot of anxious and overwhelmed and stressed is.
Yeah, and I was getting ready to say perfect, but the perfect is for you, Natalie. Thank you. You know, poor Natalie, I kind of just threw it out there to help me out, so I appreciate you jumping in there. And it's not perfect that you folks who are, you know, feeling stressed or overwhelmed are feeling that way, because we've all been in the same boat. And as I've been doing the work, and again, I still have clients, not only still in Hawaii, but all the way over to the East Coast. So I'm working with some people in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, Midwest, and in Illinois. So, and here are a lot of the words that are coming up either with the directors or with our coaches, with our line staff, our teaching staff, our home visitors, our parent, our family advocates. Everyone is feeling lots of things right now. But I also have to recognize that, as a few of you said, some of you are feeling really accomplished. Some of you are feeling excited. And when we talk about those things, we're actually talking about mindset. And so here's one of the things that I've known from working with everybody is I've been doing a lot of work with building highly effective teams. So again, some of you might have seen some of the training during summer camp when I talked about the characteristics. I've also been doing a lot of work in terms of working with teaching staff, did lots of presentations around what I call the circle of control, or feeling empowered, or helping people to feel empowered in these crazy and uncertain times. I've done tons of work, again, if you are part of the wellness cohorts under Pyramid for Region 9, we did leadership work around that, about filling up our wells and making sure that we're in a place of taking care of ourselves so that we can pour into others. And then also doing tons and tons of group coaching, either for coaches themselves or for the directors. And here's what everybody has in common. And that is, as I mentioned earlier, mindset. And what you'll see up on the screen on the left-hand side literally comes from Webster Dictionary, where it talks about it's a mental attitude or inclination, or a lot of us know it as disposition. And as we go through it, your state of mind or how you approach things impacts your experiences. And so that's what I wanted to really spend time with and talk with you folks today about, because there's so much going on out there that different people are reacting to things in different ways. Yet we know that we still have to serve our children. We still have to serve our family. And for us as directors, we're still out there serving our staff and trying to hold everything together. So when I was first talking with Ed, who kind of rang me up, we had a great conversation about how I can support you folks during this hour. One of the things, or actually a few of the things that I really had to think about and ask myself the question of is, okay, so Deidre, you only have everybody for about an hour. So what can you do that's going to keep things really relevant into the here and now of what they're experiencing? Also, another question is, how can you be really responsive to what everyone is going through while still honoring all of the wisdom in the room, so to speak? We'll call our Zoom call today the room. And then the third one is, how can you add value? Meaning, when people walk away, how are you going to present things or facilitate a conversation so that people feel like they've walked away with something, regardless of what that thing is, knowing that you didn't have a lot of time to do it. And so this is what I came up with. And so this is what we're going to be doing over the next 50 minutes or so. In a minute, I'm going to ask Natalie to launch a poll. And it's going to be multiple choice about what you folks would like to work on today in terms of different types of mindsets. So strategies around helping our staff shift into mindsets that are more positive, more empowering, while still honoring the feelings that they have. So we're going to launch a poll, and then we're going to do that for a couple of minutes, about 2 minutes or so. And then Natalie's going to show us the results, and I'm going to take a quick screen capture of that and make sure that I'm ready to go, to do that. And based on the poll results, we're actually going to start the conversation with those topics where people are saying, hey, I really want to learn more about this. After we do that, we're going to then start brainstorming, and we're going to brainstorm using the virtual walkabout. And what that looks like is that we're going to launch a new app. Some of you have used it already. Again, some of it might be new for you, and Fernando's going to help me out with that. But when we launch this app, it's actually going to be a bunch of chart paper, literally on a virtual wall. And we are going to go in, and I'm going to ask each one of us to go in and start putting in some ideas and strategies that you have found to have worked. And then after a few minutes, we'll move to the next chart paper and add our thoughts and strategies to that. And we'll see how many we can get through in our time together. And then probably at about quarter of the hour, we'll come back together, we'll wrap up, and I'll talk to you about next steps and how we can get that information next to you or out to you. So this is where I'm going to ask Natalie if you can go ahead and launch our poll so that we can get started with our topics.
Hi, Deidre. This is Fernando. I'm trying to pull up the poll question. It's saying that I'm logged in somewhere else and it's not allowing me to do it. So let me go ahead and try to pull it up here in just one moment.
Okay. And if you can't, that's okay. I can talk everyone through it.
Yes. Let me go ahead and see if I can do it now. Let me try to do this real quick.
Okay. Everyone's waiting patiently. So I
Good.
acknowledge that. Thank you.
Interesting. It's just the same that I'm logged in under a different device. Let's see here how we can do this. Thanks for the patient, everybody. We'll get this.
Oh, no worries.
In just a minute.
And Fernando, let me know when you're ready, because I can keep talking. So no worries about that.
Perfect.
So while Fernando is launching the poll, there are 6 different mindsets that I was going to have us focus and look at today. So one of the very first one is managing overwhelm, right? So we know that there's a lot going on all the time around us and that there's been a lot of changes. So just when many of us think we've got it, there comes a change, and now we're shifted back into overwhelm, trying to figure out how are we going to do this next thing. Another mindset that we're talking about is staying motivated, especially as depending on where we are and what county we're in, our COVID numbers are going up and down. So are we going virtual? Are we doing hybrid? Are we doing face-to-face? And with all of these changes, after a while, it just gets really wearing and really tiring. So a third mindset we're going to be talking about is managing expectations, right? So expectations of ourselves, right? Our personal expectations, also managing our expectations of others. So what does that mean in the world that we're living in right now?
Deidre,
Yes, sir.
sorry to interrupt you. We got the poll up and running. My
Oh,
apologies, everybody, but we're good to go.
oh, perfect. Okay, pull it up, and we should be able to see it. Ah, thank you. So this is multiple choice. You'll see the 6 mindsets on there, and go ahead and click all of the ones that apply to you in terms of which mindsets would you like strategies around. So again, in terms of managing overwhelm, and in the parentheses, you'll see those behaviors that typically come up that will tell you what mindset that person is in. So managing overwhelm, you might see perfectionism or an inability or a hard time to prioritize. Staying motivated, so again, how do we stay inspired? Managing expectations, so it's really about continuing to keep or build that positive workplace environment. Teamwork, how are our teams coming together in these new configurations? So collaboration. Staying empowered, so sometimes when we're feeling out of power, we're feeling like things are being done to us. So that's reducing victimhood. And then just managing all of the change. So staying flexible and innovating, knowing that no one's been in this space before, so it's all new for all of us. So as you go through it, go ahead and hit your answers and then hit the submit button.
Deidre, we're about 60% who've answered.
Perfect. Okay, so give us another 30 seconds, Natalie. So if you're still putting it in, go ahead and put the rest of your answers. Let's see if we can get to at least 75%. And if not, that's okay. We'll keep going.
Okay, we're about 77, so I'm going to go ahead and end it and then show the results.
Perfect. Thank you, Natalie. Okay, so it looks like our biggest one is managing the change. And then right behind it is staying motivated. And then from there is managing the overwhelm and, managing expectations, and then the overwhelm, as well as, let's see, teamwork, and then the last one is staying empowered. So I went ahead and took a screen capture. So thanks, Natalie. You can actually let go of the results, and I will get us ready for our walkabout. And so this is what we're going to do. So what you'll see on the screen right now is literally a wall, and you'll see that there are 6 charts up there, and each of the chart has the same or a different mindset posted on it. And here's what I'm going to ask us to do. First, either Natalie or Fernando is going to put in the Padlet URL in the chat box, and all you need to do is to go into the chat box, and you're going to click on that URL, and it's going to take you to Applet. Now, before you do that, so don't head there yet, but before you do that, let me finish setting this up, and then I'll cut us loose. So once you get to the wall, I'm going to ask you to start with the first chart. And remember, the first chart is actually going to be managing change. So you're going to go to the chart that's managing change. You're going to click on it, and I'm going to ask you to type in what strategies or exercises or activities that you've done with your staff that have helped people actually work through and think about being flexible as well as innovative. So when you type it in, I'm going to ask you to make sure that you write your name first and then the idea. And the reason for this is because when we're all done, either Fernando or Natalie or Ed will put these into a PDF, and they will make it available to you along with the PowerPoint. Now, here's the neat thing about this. And again, it's about honoring all of the wisdom, because I know you guys have done lots of things that work. Is the reason I want you to put your name on it is if somebody sees a strategy that they want more information about, then they have your name. They can reach out to you and say, hey, can you tell me how you did that? Or can you tell me, give me some ideas how I can make it work within my own setting. And this is a great way to keep the networking that you folks have started going. So, and when I call time, we're going to switch to a different chart, and I'll tell you what chart we're going to next, because I'll just look at my screenshot. So if you haven't done so already, go up into the chat box. You'll see it. It should have lit up the orange in your box, and the chat should have come up. And give me a thumbs up if you can see the URL in chat. Okay, perfect. Oh, excellent. Thank you for using your icons. I appreciate that. So once you're in there, you're going to go ahead and you're going to go to the chart called Managing Change. And under Managing Change, you're going to start typing in some ideas or strategies that you've used that that have been successful for you. Don't forget to start with your name first and then type those in. And then I'm going to stop share. And Fernando, I'm going to turn it over to you so that you can screenshot, and hopefully we can get it in real time. Is that okay?
Absolutely, yeah. So I just share my screen, and everybody should have access to it.
Oh, nice. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Betsy, Lorraine have put in already. Suzanne, thank you. Remember, you're going to go to Managing Change and put in your ideas around on that chart. I'll give us about, let's see, I'll give us about 3 more minutes or so, and then we'll move to another chart. Okay, while people are putting some in, I'm just gonna read some of them off. Give us another minute, and then we'll move to another chart, and we're literally doing that virtual walkabout. So under Managing Change, thinking about flexibility and innovation, we have active listening, view as an opportunity to grow and learn, look up activities and share them with coworkers. Remembering that change is constant and teaches us new things, remembering positive changes and listing what they are learning through the experience. Having an open mind, being an active listener, staying positive, seek staff buy-in and ideas. And then I added a few for failing forward and being solution focused. And I'll talk about those in a minute. For those people who are just joining us or as you're working on it, just so you know, at the top of your screen, you'll see a Padlet updated elsewhere. If you hit that update button, it will continue to update your screen so that you'll see additional suggestions and strategies as they come in. So there's more around management, practicing emotional intelligence strategies as a team, reflective practices with staff, involving the staff in making the decisions in the change, understanding the situation, being open, fair, understandable, staff involvement in the decision for making change. Love it. Okay, so I'm going to give us about 15 more seconds. If you're typing, you can go ahead and finish typing. And if you want to go in and add more after the fact, all you have to do is click on that chart and you can do so. And now I'm going to actually move us to the next chart. And the next chart is going to be staying motivated or inspired. So again, you're going to go to the staying empowered. It's the last chart on the right hand side, and go ahead and start typing in any suggestions or strategies that you've used to actually inspire your staff to keep trying, to stay in it, to take those breaks and come back and being fresh. Okay, love it. They're starting to come in. You guys are so smart. You saw that the staying motivated wasn't the last one. It was actually the second one in from the left. Appreciate that. Oh, I love it. Recover the enthusiasm. Excellent. Acknowledging the great work that's being done, focusing on the children. Being positive, celebrating those small victories, those achievements. Acknowledging successes, absolutely. Thinking about and using the trainings. Remind them how important about what they do, about how important what they do is, and what we're still doing to help the children and families. Staying optimistic. I'm going to add a few in here. Great. Don't forget to go up to the top of your screen and update as you go through. That'll allow you to see more of the strategies and ideas they come in. So more remaining positive and appreciating the small wins. I wrote in reconnecting to the vision and knowing your why. Again, more celebrating your achievements. Being positive, bringing out the good in staff, take breaks as needed to stay charged, being enthusiastic and acknowledging staff. And just as a reminder, again, if you're joining us, if you're just coming in, we're doing a virtual walkabout on the Padlet applet. And so you'll find that URL in the chat box if you're wondering how to get to that. And as you're typing in your suggestions and your strategies, don't forget to add your name And the reason I'm asking you to do that is because it's a great way to stay connected. If somebody wants to reach out and say, hey, can you tell me how you did this? Or what were some of the strategies they used? They know who to refer to. So don't forget to put your name in there. I love it. Some came in and increased the fun, staying positive, having a positive attitude and for the environment. Bringing out the good in staff, taking breaks as needed to stay charged, again, be enthusiastic, acknowledging staff. Excellent. Okay, we are definitely rocking and rolling. I appreciate you participating in the walkabout with me. I'm going to give you about 15 more seconds to add anything else. And then while you're doing that, I'm going to queue up the next chart that we're going to do a virtual walk to. And that is going to be the managing expectations. So how do you keep that understanding about what are our values and how do we portray our values within this new environment? So it's thinking about that workplace, that positive workplace environment. So that's going to be the right in the middle there. It says maintaining expectations. And it's going to be the third one from the left. So what do you do to keep your environment positive and your expectations, which is different than inspiring? And I'll talk about that in a few minutes later. So what are those things that you put out there in terms of how you expect staff to show up and participate? Okay, I love it. They're coming in. Thank you for putting your names on there. I appreciate that. So again, making those expectations very, very clear. I love the double very. Thank you, Lorraine. Revisiting our vision, mission, and values, acknowledging how the work staff is doing us move us towards that vision. Love it. Focus on the advancements and the achievements. Model what you expect to see. I wrote on cameras on, and I'll talk more about that in a second, and staying strength-based. Doing activities for self-care. What else is there? Okay, again, revisiting our vision and mission, values. Revisit the small steps. I love that. Again, using that as an opportunity to recognize that we're moving forward. Remind them if they're of their why and acknowledge their feelings. A good relationship with everyone. And thinking about what does it mean? What strategies do we put in place to ensure that we have those good relationships? Meeting with staff virtually, keep the staff feeling supported, staying connected, setting a positive atmosphere, having each person, honoring each person by what they've contributed or for what they contributed. Thank you. Talk about expectations from the beginning and keep present at all times. Focus on them and follow them by putting an example. So that modeling. We have good communication and supporting staff. Staff meetings and communication. Oh, I love it. Breathe. Excellent. Okay, so I am going to give us about 15 more seconds, and we're going to do the same thing. While you're finishing writing in there, I'm going to go ahead and queue up our next walkabout because we are definitely rocking and rolling. So from there, we actually have, let's see, we have teamwork. So, or collaboration. So how do we get our teams, and not just our teaching teams, but it could be a site team, it could be a program team, it could be an admin team. So we're going to use the word teams very loosely. So how do we continue to work with staff to help them collaborate in very new and different ways? Okay, so let's see if people are putting them in. Don't forget your names as you add your comments. So again, thinking about those good relationships, we know that's going to be the foundation for everyone. Staying in communication and work together. So give me some more specifics in here. So what does that look like? How often are you staying in communication? What are you communicating, or how are you communicating that? Be open to all new ideas. Always reach out to involve others. Welcome the participation. Cooperate and be patient. Helping each other as well as our coworkers. So again, I'm going to ask you folks to come in and get really specific. What does that mean? So if I were to show up at your site or sit in on a virtual meeting, what would I see? What would I hear that tells me that you're supporting people working together? That would show me, or I would hear, that good relationships are in place. That would show me, or I would hear, that we're staying open to those ideas, those new ideas. And as you continue to type in, don't forget to add your name. I love it. You're coming back in, being very specific. Thank you, with those weekly meetings, as well as weekly management team meetings to ensure ongoing communication. Oh, I love it. Great strategy. Yes, and I'm not sure who wrote that. If you want to give us your name, that would be terrific. So yes, and is a great strategy at meeting. It encourages brainstorming, because typically we hear the opposite. Yes, but. And so when we switch it to yes, and, it encourages us to keep thinking and having that up there. Be there for them all of the time. Share ideas. Be open-minded with them. Work together to achieve the same goals. Those routine check-ins. And I'm going to give us about 30 more seconds. And then I'm going to add one of my own, fair but not equal. Again, referring back to those trainings that are coming in virtually, requires settings and communicating clear team objectives. I love it. Having those casual meetings to brainstorm ideas together, right? So like a coffee meetup. Love the specific strategy. Thank you. Oh, I love this. Laughing a lot, right? We know laughter is one of the best medicines out there. We're going to put in respect. And I love it. And so again, I'm going to encourage us to stay very specific. What does that look like? How do you actually communicate that? If I were sitting in, how would I know that that was evident? Open communication, collaboration, active listening, and being the team player. Okay, I'm going to give us about 15 seconds. We're still rocking and rolling. We have 2 more to go. So while you're wrapping that up, we are going to go to, let's see, what do we have up? Managing overwhelm and staying empowered. We are going to go to, oh, because I forgot that earlier. So let's go to managing overwhelm. So that's going to be the first one on your left. And so remember, as you're putting in your ideas, if you can keep your, write your name in. I know it's humbug, but it's really going to help us as people want to reach out and say, hey, how do you do that in your setting? Or what does that look like during your meetings? Oh, okay, so somebody wrote in help. So I love that. So one, I'm not sure if you're asking for help Or if you're making it so clear to everyone that asking for help is okay, that actually in the world of Brene Brown and talking about vulnerability, that asking for help takes a lot of bravery. So being willing to step into that vulnerability and ask for support. Making a to-do list daily. Oh yes, okay, thank you. So it was about helping people to feel it's okay to ask for help. Giving specific ideas on how to stay organized. Prioritize to-do list and put it on the calendar. Being okay with saying no. So that's huge in and of itself. We can spend a lot of time in training on saying no, or we in the world of coaching, we call that boundaries, right? So setting really strong boundaries and then maintaining them. Doing one thing at a time, right? So I'm gonna add a few here, take it day by day. So I'm putting in there chunking and let's see, what else am I gonna put in there? Oh, normalizing. Let's put that in there. That's a good one. And what I call decoupling. And I can explain that in a minute. I love this. This is a really strong walkabout, folks. I really appreciate you staying in the game. Don't take things personally. Sometimes that's very hard to do. So I love that. Ask someone to help you when you make a mistake, to help you correct it. Again, being in that space of vulnerability and even owning the mistake and then reaching out. Take a day at a time, and do your best, stay positive. Awesome. So give us about 15, 30 more seconds, and then I'm gonna go ahead and cue up the last one. And that is staying empowered, right? So parentheses, I put in there reducing victimhood. So a lot of things have happened to us, right? Like COVID is happening to us. There's been a lot of racial tension out there and people are feeling like things are happening to them. Just the world in general, in terms of all of the shifts and the change, things are happening to us. And when we're in that mindset, it's literally, feeling like that victim. I'm feeling out of power. I have no control. So what are some of the strategies that we have, that you've been using that have been successful? So I'll add a few of my own. Don't forget to go up and update your screen as more are coming in. So again, staying positive and listening to learn, taking a deep breath, counting to 10 and refocusing, giving staff a place to express their feelings and concerns. Love it. Oh, taking responsibility for what we think, feel, and do. So that's a big one in itself, right? That could be a lot of training, because first you have to be able to recognize your feelings. It takes us back to what somebody said earlier around emotional intelligence. Oh, I love it. Pray, absolutely. Thinking about resilience, what are those resilient factors? How do we build that resiliency muscle? Because it literally is a muscle, right? It needs to be flexed and built up. moving into confidence and having patience. I love that the one turtle stepped forward at the time, thinking about the parable, right? The turtle and the rabbit, and the turtle ends up winning the race because they just stayed steady. So I'm going to give us about 15 more seconds, and then we'll come back, and I will continue to share. I'll go back to share my screen and wrap us up for an hour. Another one came in, hurry up and slow down. Absolutely. All right. So I am going to go back in. Did I lose my Zoom? Okay, here we go. Perfect. Thank you for continuing to add. Fernando, I'm going to say we're all good. And if you can throw me back, thank you. Woo, I don't know about you guys, but I'm sweating. That was a lot of work. Virtual or not, we put in so many different ideas and strategies. And again, I really appreciate that. So let me tell you where we're going to go from here as we wrap up. So I'm going to share my screen again. And if you can give me a thumbs up, so I know you folks can see my screen again, that would be great. Thank you. Appreciate it, Anna. I know some other people have as well. Thank you, thank you. And where we're going to go from here is, I'm going to resize my screen so that I can see everyone. Go. Is as we move forward, because we have so many changes in our world, here's what we know is that we know that there's still a lot that we don't know, and we're not sure when this new normal will shift back into, it won't ever be the same. So that's one thing that we're recognizing. But because we don't know, when will be a vaccine will come out, what will it look like, what will it entail, what new lives we're going to need moving forward, we know we're in this for the long haul. And the immediate long haul is through the end of at least this calendar year and quite possibly through the rest of the school year. So as we're working with staff and we're continuing to navigate this new normal, we really want to be talking about the idea of the mindset or dispositions and really helping people to focus on the growth mindset, which we hear all the time through the educational world, versus the fixed mindset. And here's what I've been experiencing, and you may be experiencing this to a certain degree as well, and that is we often use the growth versus fixed mindset for children, and we don't spend as much time as we need to talking about it for ourselves and with our own staff. So helping our staff think about, what does this look like for me individually or for me as an adult? And as we go forward, when we look at all of the strategies that you folks wrote down and thinking about helping staff to shift those mindsets and using those strategies, I just wrote a few up here. And like Natalie said earlier, you'll have this PowerPoint, you can go back. We don't, like I said, we don't have a time to go through all of them and for me to break each strategy down. So over the next couple of minutes, I'll grab like one from each of the 6 mindsets and talk about it. And I'll try and grab the one that maybe people don't know the most about. So for example, in managing overwhelm, right? When just things are just coming at us. I like to use the strategy of decoupling. And by decoupling, we tend to generalize by putting everything together. And a great example of this is that I was working with a director, and she was sharing with me that one of her staff was just so distraught because they didn't think that they could stay in the field anymore and continue to work with the children. And as she explored why the staff member felt this way, the staff shared that she was actually afraid of the children. And when we started talking about it, and I asked her, what did that mean? And she was like, well, she's afraid that she's going to get sick from, going back face to face and being with the children. And so what I then said to the director is, I said, I wonder if we can separate it or decouple it, because it sounds to me like it's not so much that she's afraid of the children, is that she's afraid of COVID. And once we decouple that or we separate that, now we can start to manage it. Because then I asked the director, I said, as you go forward, are there going to continue to be opportunities for virtual learning? And the director said yes. So could there be some opportunities for this staff member to continue teaching virtually as opposed to face? And the director said yes. And so I said, so could you then explore that opportunity with the staff member that she doesn't actually have to leave the field, that she can still do what she loves, which was part of the reason she was so distraught, because she loves children. She was just worried about COVID and thinking about some ways to work through that. So helping people like separate things out instead of putting everything together. The staying motivated, a lot of people already put that in their strategies. So just the bottom one, knowing your why and connecting to it. So why am I in this field? Why did I get into it? Because that will help to inspire us and keep us going. Maintaining expectations. We're very familiar with strength-based. I know I've been doing a lot of work with programs around cameras on, and working with their staff to encourage everyone to keep their cameras on. And the reason for this is just because we're virtual, we're still connecting, we're still together. And just like you would never go to a meeting or go to a training and turn your back to the presenter, when you have your cameras off, it's actually pretty similar. And I know that may be hardcore, but when you're the presenter and all you see are black screens, it's literally like looking at the back of someone's head. It's very hard to connect with them, and it's very hard to stay present, because typically that's when we start multitasking. So when we talk about maintaining expectations, it's what does the expectations look like in a virtual world, and helping staff to understand that. Some other mindsets. So the teamwork, one of the things I put under there, many of us know this, fair but not equal. So one of the things that we might hear a lot is oh, so-and-so isn't doing what they're supposed to, or we agreed on this and they didn't follow through. And so helping people to understand, especially in today's world of technology, all of us are definitely not created equal in terms of our comfort level and our abilities. And so when we're talking about working together, it's going to look different based on our abilities. It's not going to be the same. Someone who may have been really super strong in the classroom face-to-face may be really struggling virtually. And so it's going to take them maybe a little bit longer to get up to speed. Or even the quality, and you see I do quotes around that, the quality might not be as fantastic as it was in the classroom, because it's brand new and they're learning the platforms. There's also, staying empowered. Again, it's that idea of circle of control. So even knowing that things are happening to you, there's just this great equation out there that goes, let me see if I can remember it now. It's your reaction. It's the situation plus your reaction equals the outcome. So even though things may be happening around you that you have no control of, you are 100% in control of your reaction to it. And that can make all the difference in the world to the outcome. So somebody was saying, hey, glass half empty versus glass half full. So that's another way of looking at it. And the power of yet. Absolutely love that statement because we forget about it. So for example, I don't know how to use Zoom yet. I don't know how to increase engagement or maintain engagement during my virtual classroom yet. And so the power of yet is what we call future pacing. It allows people to understand that it's okay, they don't know it now. It doesn't mean that this reality is going to stay this way forever. So helping people think through that. And then the last one I have up there is managing change. So managing change, the first one, everyone's pretty much used to solution focus. So really, again, brainstorming, thinking our way through it. But failing forward means that when we're doing something new, when we're learning something new, when we're trying new things, we are going to make mistakes. We are going to fail. So failing has this big negative connotation. Yet here's the reality. When you are failing, it means you are trying. And that's huge for people to understand and give themselves permission to do what I call fail forward, meaning if you're trying, you're working through it. And as you work through it, that's when innovation is happening. That's when we get better. That's when we figure things out. So giving ourselves permission to fail, knowing that that's how we learn. And as we come up to the last part of our day together, and again, I thank you for participating. A lot of people are going to have questions about, okay, so what? Where do we go from here? And here's where I want us to land. First, like I said, Fernando is going to grab all of those chart papers for us. It'll be turned into a PDF and they'll have it loaded up, like Natalie said earlier, up on the website so that you can go back and use them when you're looking for ideas. So I encourage you to do that. I also encourage you to reach out to each other. So if someone said something really profound or that resonated with you, reach out to that person and say, hey, are you willing to share your thoughts about this? And pour into each other, which I know you folks are already really, really good at doing. The other thing that I wanted to share with you is, like Fernando said, or Natalie said it actually at the beginning, we have a few minutes left. So I'll definitely stick around for questions if you folks have some for me. But I wanted you to know that we only spent an hour together. So if you want to connect with me, you can reach out through this URL. And I know, I think Fernando's going to put that in the chat box for us, so you can go up and click on the link right now. It takes you actually right into my schedule, and you'll be able to schedule right there. There's no cost, there's no obligation, and what I can do is I'll be glad to spend a few minutes either talking through some of the strategies that I shared or answering your questions. So take advantage of that. It's available, and I update my calendar all the time. So it's only, I think I do it a week at a time. So you'll probably just see this week's up there. And so I can put more dates in there when we're all done. And so this is me done with our time together, but I know we have a couple of minutes literally. So what questions do you have? You can either write them into chat and I'll be welcome to share them with everyone, or because of the amount of people we have, I can't see everyone in your screen. So if you wanted to raise your hand, I should be able to see you that way. Or if you want to unmute yourself and ask a question, you're more than welcome to do it that way as well. You're very welcome. I see those thank yous coming in. I appreciate that. Thank you for the feedback. And I believe there's also going to be a, I think there's going to be, is there going to be an evaluation, Natalie or Fernando, that they fill out?
Yes, we'll go ahead and draft one now and send it to everybody.
Okay. So don't forget to give that feedback. And I always encourage everyone to give the good, the bad, and the ugly. Fernando, Ed, Natalie are really good at sharing that with me and other presenters, and it only helps us to get even better. So really appreciate you taking the few minutes to do that. I know everyone is very busy. So we are at the top of the hour. I don't see any questions coming in. If you raised your hand and I didn't see you, take yourself off mute and say, but wait, Deidre. And I'll try and spend another minute with you. If, again, if you'd like to connect one-on-one, don't forget that URL is in the chat box. It's also on the PowerPoint slide if you want to grab that. That'll be ready for you in another day or so, about 24 hours. So you can connect with me one-on-one. I love talking to people. I think we're pretty good. Thank you. You guys were great.
Great. Thank you so much, Deidre, for your time and for your presentation. I do want to remind everyone, like Deidre had already mentioned, we are recording the session, so you will be getting that information as well as the PowerPoints and all the things together. Ed did want me to make an announcement, and he said that Friday, most of you received an email from him asking for volunteers to help coordinate network calls, such as this one or the fiscal, the HR, and early Head Start one. So please take a look at your emails and let us know through the survey if you'd be interested in helping with these calls going forward. So thank you once again for all of your time and your attention and for your participation, and we hope to see you soon. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Have a fantastic evening.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Deidre.
Very welcome.